A long time ago, the very first form of life was a protein. It was just a string of polypeptides bound together, and these all they did was replicate. That's all they had to do. They had no other roles, nor was there a need for them to have any other roles. And at that point, the world was dark. There was no light, no oxygen, nothing. But eventually, the water vapor condensed and the light could penetrate through. When it did, it excited the proteins. The proteins started using the light energy or the photons to break down or rather break apart water molecules and thus forming oxygen, the very first oxygen molecules. The formation of oxygen molecule was quite an event because it started off a whole cascade of chemical reactions that tried to initiate a state of reactivity in the polypeptides. As I said earlier, the polypeptides did nothing at that point but replicate to keep life as it is going. They had no other role and no need for any other roles. But at the same time, their entropy was not contained. They were unable to control the amount of heat produced and thus were unstable or rather unsustainable. With the advent of oxygen, it kicked off a whole new era of chemical reactions and a whole cascade of chemical trial and error. Oxygen was a more reactive compound, a more reactive molecule, but it was not reactive enough to induce a state of reactivity in the polypeptides. So it kept going, the process. It started forming a few other molecules and a bunch of other compounds until it finally ended on something called the methylglyoxal, Mg for short. Methylglyoxal was a highly reactive compound. It was so reactive that it could steal an electron from the then stable polypeptide chain and thus incur a state of reactivity in a previously stable compound. What this initiated was a cascade of interaction between the polypeptides and its immediate vicinity, the environment. Now the polypeptides are forced to interact with more and more compounds to regain that sense of stability. Along the process, it learned how to develop various organelles, learned how to excrete waste substances, and preserve or conserve the entropy within so as to last longer, increase its duration of existence. And this process has been going on and is still going on to this very day. The cells in our body, cells in fishes and dogs, plants, algae, microbes, parasites, life form as we know it, is continually using methylglyoxal to incur a sense of stability and to conserve its entropy within. Methylglyoxal, this dear friend of ours who have accompanied us through the aeons, helps our cells to develop and differentiate, to channel its energy into metabolic pathways, excretion, and a bunch of other cascade of events that aims to increase the quality of life and the duration of life of the organism. However, we have abused this molecule so much that it now seems to be taking some sort of a revenge on us. Methylglyoxal has been implicated in the pathogenesis of diabetes, a major metabolic disorder that has afflicted mankind. It has also been implicated in the formation of cancers through a bunch of very intriguing pathways. And today, we still struggle with the knowledge of this and how to deal with what we've done to ourselves. Methylglyoxal has given us life as we know, and is now threatening to take it all back. And I don't think we are not at fault.